Welcome to the Challenges of Change, the podcast where we explore the transformative journey towards self-improvement and personal growth. I'm your host, Laura, a mindset coach in the health and fitness industry, here to guide you through the hurdles that life throws at you. In each episode, we'll delve into practical strategies and insightful discussions to help you manage stress, regulate your emotions, upgrade your mindset, and ultimately reclaim your sense of worth. I'm thrilled to have you join me on this journey of change, challenges, and self-discovery. And we are back for another episode of the Challenges of Change. And today I am feeling spicy and fiery about masks versus reality. It's like the perpetuating Instagram problem, but let's take it to real life and human experiences, right? Internal experiences versus external realities, and how we present things, how others experience it because we present things, and how things get just so confusing. It's pretty common knowledge. I'm sure there's a bunch of quotes about it, like you don't know what's going on behind closed doors. You don't know what people are really dealing with. So like lead with kindness, right? And honestly, I've seen this popping up so much in some of my networking groups, women I've learned to get to know for the last few years, people I would even consider, friends. I learned that they lost their husbands right before I met them or their children, and I never even knew it. People are dealing with pain all the time and we don't know it. So, yeah, if we're not starting with kindness, let's definitely do that. But even more so, what does that mean in terms of how people present themselves because they're dealing with pain? If we really look at the reality of our culture, it's not very friendly to emotions. I would like to think it's growing more friendly, but it depends on the day, if we're being frank. So here we are growing up in a world where we are conditioned to think that expressing your truth, being authentic and raw and real is going to get you ostracized and shamed. And to a degree, it's not meant in every avenue. It's definitely not meant for every single moment. It's not meant for unsafe people. So there is a discernment and a wisdom to understanding how to manage your emotions. That being said, how people manage their emotions at work, for instance, where typically if you're dealing with loss, crying all the time isn't a productive or helpful influence to the culture, but that doesn't mean the pain isn't there. So what do people do? How do people operate? Do they pretend it's not there? A lot of times they avoid, they numb out, they distract, they over busy themselves, but it creeps out in sharp judgments, in harsh comments, in being critical of themselves or others, in nonverbal communication, eye rolls, leaning back, crossing your arms, any of David's faces from Schitt's Creek, pretty much. Uh, we don't realize how telling our body is to the truth that we are experiencing. So I'm going to start with one that most of us have experienced, which is vulnerability. But there's masked vulnerability versus real vulnerability. Masked vulnerability typically, I mean, it's not really vulnerability, if I'm being completely honest with you. It's a something someone would feel vulnerable about, but how they're communicating the vulnerability they feel isn't vulnerable in the communication. So I have people in my life, clients, and just people who, when they're scared or hurt, they are confident, almost to the point that they're like aggressive when they're communicating their vulnerability. They'll say, yeah, so this is happening, or I'm feeling this. And they use a tone of voice that is not meant to be aggressive, not meant to be confident per se, but it's how they protect themselves. Again, most of this is unconscious, but it's how they protect themselves from you thinking they're weak, which is really their fear that you're going to judge them for feeling whatever they're feeling. But here's the problem with masked vulnerability slash fake vulnerability. Okay, you approach it from that lens. If you are the listener of someone sharing a fake masked vulnerability and they're doing so confidently, you're not going to receive it as vulnerability. If anything, if someone's coming across in a way that you might interpret aggressive, you're going to interpret it as an attack. And I see this all the time with relationships and couples. And when I've had to talk to different clients about how they're communicating their needs to their partner, I'm actually asking, like, are you trying to protect yourself and be aggressive while you're saying, this is what I need, and you're not doing it, versus I'm really struggling. And I know you love me. I know I love you. And I believe we want the same things, but I don't feel heard. And I don't know how to get it across. Which of those two is going to make you listen? It's scary. It's counterintuitive, but there's a difference. And the key is the listener isn't inside you. They don't know that this is vulnerable to you. They don't know that you're feeling vulnerable if you're communicating confidently or aggressively. Why does that matter? Well, let's think about it. If your goal in communicating something vulnerably to someone is to be heard, to be understood, but they don't know the key piece of missing information that will actually make it safer for them to receive your information, they don't know that you're actually feeling that way because of how you're communicating it. You're actually making it more likely to get the wrong reaction. So you trying to protect yourself from someone's misunderstanding of you is actually creating a misunderstanding of your experience. One of my other favorite emotions to kind of go through it with is like courage versus fear. When people are acting courageously, people outside, the observers, they just see you acting courageously. Man, I don't know how she does that. I don't know how he does that. When did they do that? Like, how can they do it? But what you are experiencing is not courage. You are experiencing fear. This happens to me all the time. I am so blessed to do public speaking and to help people. And transparently, I don't like it. I don't like being the center of attention. And I know the irony with my own job and my own podcast and all this stuff. Yeah, I get it. But I also won't let my distaste or my fear or my dislike stop me from helping people. And that's always been my northern light. So I'm blessed to be good at public speaking. And every time I do it, my parents specifically will be shocked because of how much I wouldn't do it. And they're proud of me and they talk about how brave and courageous I'm being. And I do my best to receive it, all while knowing when I do it, I'm experiencing fear and purpose because I'm focused on that one person that I'm going to help. Hopefully more than one, but at least one. But if you're seeing someone being courageous, like our military, being courageous, risking their lives, which I'm incredibly grateful for, they're still feeling fear. So when we're trying to communicate something with someone, if we're distorting the message in an attempt to protect ourselves, we're literally creating the problem we're trying to prevent. Do you see how that's a problem? Do you see how if we want to be understood, we have to be authentic and real and seen? Now, let's flip the other side of the coin. I've tried that. People have been hurtful. Yeah. There's also a wisdom to understanding how to know when to be scared with someone, when to be sad with someone, when to be in grief with someone, when to be vulnerable with someone. There's a wisdom to it. There's a discernment. Not everyone earns that right because that is an earning, because not everyone has the skills of being safe and doesn't mean they're a bad person. It's just a skill set. But here's the part no one really likes to hear. Even if you've been burnt before, which I'm sure you have, by trying to communicate in a more raw, authentic, real, heartfelt way. Distorting it in the future doesn't prevent the pain. Trying to wear a mask to protect yourself doesn't prevent the pain. In this life, we don't get to avoid pain the way we think we do. And half the time we think we're preventing pain, we're actually creating it and perpetuating it, which is literally what I'm talking about. It sucks and it's hard, and you're not alone in it. Hey guys, it's me. I just want to pause you for a brief moment because there's something important that I think you need to know about. So often when I'm in sessions, I hear people talking about how lonely they are, how anxious they are, and we really do need each other. And I've seen through a lot of my corporate work the power of growing and evolving together. So I am super excited to announce that I have launched my community, the Challengers Circle, where you get to come in, become a challenger, connect with other people going on personal growth journeys, understand what the circumstances are like, share your challenges, and see how similar we all are. And there are so many resources in there to help you, from a personal coach to guide you through it, different chat rooms to share experience, different labs where you can literally practice boundary setting, practice saying no, practice regulating your nervous system. Whatever it is that your challenge is, we have created such an in-depth platform that can really, really help you create the change you want to see, because it's not just about the information. It's not just about knowing. It's about the ability to apply. And because we believe in this so wholeheartedly, we are giving anyone who joins a full free month of everything that we offer with the personal guidance of a coach to make sure you are supported, you are accountable, and you are being guided through. And after those 30 days, you can decide which level works for you. If you want to stay in the free level, that is perfect. We want to see what you use. And between now and the end of the year, if you do decide that one of the paid tiers is what's best for you, we are offering $100 off to anyone who joins before 2026. So if you are ready to accept the challenge, truly enact the change that you've always craved in your life, now is the time, and we have created the zone, the arena for you. It's time to come home to yourself, and that is what the Challenger Circle stands for. And it brings me back to something I read in a book. It was a business book, ironically, but the message is so accurate. It was a mentee coming to a mentor. He had just been burnt by an employee who he trusted, and he asked his mentee, how do you handle trust when someone's broken it? And the mentor validated him, told him how hard it was, and then told him, well, first and foremost, there's different types of trust. There's characteristic trust breaking and skill trust breaking. If someone says, yes, I can do blank, blank, and blank, or sure, I can hold a safe space, but they don't even know what a safe space is, and then you trust them and you share and they break the safe space, that doesn't mean it's a character default. It doesn't mean that you can't trust them. It might mean that they don't have that skill set. Now, if you share the same thing with that person, they have the skill set, they can be safe with you, and then they go and talk shit behind your back, that is a character trust breach. But notice that those are two different things. Now, in the first one, if they don't have the skill set and you share it with them, and then you experience a lack of safety and a regret that you shared, it hurts. Yeah. But ultimately, what you learn is that's not someone that I go to for these hard things, not because they're bad or it doesn't mean I don't love them anymore or care about them, but because they don't have a skill set and I don't want to get hurt unnecessarily. That's the wisdom. It's not protection, it's prioritization, quite frankly. But when someone you who does have the skill set and then goes and talks behind your back and they breach that trust, that's a different type of trust, right? So what the mentor said to the mentee, he explained it like that, but in business context, he said, what you have to understand is regardless of how you approach trust once it's broken, it's going to be broken again. You can't inevitably prevent pain. But he reframed it to have him focus on who he would be the connections he would make, the business he would create, the leadership that would foster from it based on how he chose to respond. He said, you can't avoid trust breaches in the future, but ultimately, once you've experienced one, you have to choose. Do you wall up and make everyone earn your trust, which in a business sense, and honestly in a relational sense too, it keeps people at arm's length. It makes relationships harder. It creates disconnection. There's a lot more fear, anxiety, and stress in those dynamics. But hey, you're safer and less connected. Or you can recognize and discern and use wisdom and choose to be true to yourself, giving people the benefit of the doubt, knowing that trust is going to be broken either way. So really the gift you have is choosing how you want to be. And when you do that, people are more innovative, they're more curious, they're more open, they're more expansive, they're more willing to connect with you, to be vulnerable. He's like, but you're gonna have your trust broken again, but it's a personal decision as to whether you keep everyone at arm's length to try and prevent inevitable pain, or if you stay true to who you are and learn from the moments so that you don't put yourself in those circumstances. The same is true with how we communicate. First and foremost, if you feel like you're misunderstood by people when you're trying to be vulnerable or you're trying to have hard conversations, you have to look at a bunch of different things because you are part of the problem in that. Are you discerning that that's the right person to communicate that with? Have they shown you the skill set? Why are you even choosing to do it? Talk to that person about it. Are you stable in yourself with what you're experiencing? Do you have your own back? Do you recognize if you're communicating with a mask or if you're communicating openly? Because if you are not aware of that and you're confused why people are misunderstanding you, it's really hard to hear someone's hurt feelings when they're yelling at you, isn't it? And I'm not saying you're yelling at people, but it's an intense example that signifies the whole idea, right? So, like, miscommunication is so easy, and we do not recognize how much power and capability and responsibility we have that contribute to our own challenges with misunderstanding. Being fake in how you experience your life keeps people away. Knowing who to be open with, accepting, which is ultimately the opposite of denial, doesn't mean you like it, just means you're not in denial. You're in reality. That pain is going to come in relationships. If you want love, you're going to have pain. Can't get away from that one. And that's not just me. Look that one up. That's just wisdom. What makes life meaningful isn't the absence of pain. It's how we work through all of it together and who we get to work through all of it together with. So when you're wanting to connect, when you're wanting to be understood, when you're trying to communicate something, you first need to check yourself because you're the first person who can prevent your pain, not by walling off, but by understanding if you don't communicate your experience with your emotion, the receiver of your information won't understand that's your feeling. They're going to receive the confidence, the aggression, the courage if we're looking at fear. Whatever you visually display, it comes into the context of how people receive messages. If you want to protect yourself, and I get it, who doesn't? It's not about pushing people away or creating walls. It starts with you coming home to yourself, you understanding how you influence your own pain and choosing to be your own champion and knowing what you need, learning how to ask for it, and choosing if you want to be someone who, when they're hurt, makes everyone earn their trust again, or you take time, you lick your wounds, and then you get back up. But I just had this session with a client that kind of inspired this, and it was about Feeling broken. So I'll kind of wrap us up with this thought process. I've broken 9 bones throughout my athletic career. And one thing you will learn if you have broke a bone or if you haven't broken a bone, either way, when you break a bone, the bone grows back stronger. So when you get hurt, when you're misunderstood, when the pain of life that's inevitable hits you, sometimes you'll feel hit and broken. But that doesn't mean you're less than. It doesn't mean you're a problem. It doesn't mean you should have known better or you could have prevented it. It's just part of life. It takes time to heal a broken bone. It takes time to heal mental and emotional pain. But when you grow back that bone, it's stronger. And when you grow back, you have more wisdom about how you communicate and who you communicate with. Pain's going to come, but the pain story isn't the truth of the person. That's just the healing component. Once the bone heals, once the pain heals, you're the person who experienced that, who is courageous enough to brave the pain, to then live another day, fight another fight, challenge another moment, and use that wisdom. It's the broken bones of our psychological life that actually create the foundations that amplify us. We live in a world that we want more. We want more productivity. We want more status, more money, more, more, more. For what? First, but I won't go down that rabbit hole. But if we want more, we have to recognize it's the pain of falling and the challenge of getting back up that ultimately amplifies us to get us the more we crave. Pain's not the problem. And the best way that you can prevent your own pain is being clear and concise with yourself and understanding how you are miscommunicating when you are trying to mask what you really feel. People are always struggling. Don't judge them based on, well, don't judge them, period. But remember, you don't know what's going on inside them. Choose who you want to be because it's the challenges that give us an opportunity to change who we are, to become more of who we want to be. But with that, I will stop my rambling. I'm just kidding. I loved this one, and I hope you guys did too, because I want you to feel empowered. I don't want you to feel alone, which is why, you should come to the Challenger Circle. Huh? But above all else, I want you to have your own back. Stay tuned, share it with a friend, and until next time, be you. Thank you for joining me on today's episode of The Challenges of Change. If you're ready to stop stressing and reclaim your sense of worth, be sure to visit my website at www.changebychallenge.com. There, you'll find loads of resources, blog posts, and information on how to work with me, Cora, as your personal mindset coach. Remember, if it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you. Don't let burnout or any other obstacle hold you back from living your best life. Take the first steps towards positive transformation today. Thank you again for listening. Stay confident, stay inspired, and embrace the challenges of change. Until next time.